All right, we are back with week 2 of our feature week. Obviously, been focused on mini rods this week. Got Dan Mayer and Miles Krieger with us here today. Last week, the boys talked about super stock diesel predictions. This week, they're going to talk about mini rod predictions. Now, pay attention to social media. As you've seen in the last couple of days, there's been a couple big announcements. Billy Beers is getting back into the mini rod division, and just like Eminem, Brian McDonald is going to be back after selling his tractor to Peter Norton. So Dan Miles. And it's going to be crazy with the Spent High Stakes series. I heard Adam Kester talking on the No Practice podcast. My gut tells me if he gets accepted, like he wouldn't get accepted into the Spent High Stakes series. Are you kidding me? I could see him chasing the money, but we'll find out soon. I guess Miles, you go first. As you look at this mini rod class for 2026 with NTPA and PPL, what jumps out at you right away?
Well, I think that's, there's a lot of open discussion and there's a lot of banter that's been going on back and forth with how does the high stakes series work and who is going to make that group of competitors that go in. Don't get me wrong. You got to enter, you got to pay, you got to be willing to put the money up. But the next sort of step to that is who's going to be prioritized. And from the Hot Shot Secrets Pro Pulling League sort of perspective, are they giving those guys that had Champions Tour, Champions Club spots first priority? And then from there, where does it go? So I understand that's kind of where the debate of what Adam's discussing really probably begins is does he get one of those spots? And he does have 3 tractors. So do those 3 tractors actually fit into the mark of what he's wanting to do? But, I think the news, like you said, Brian McDonald's coming back. And with Brian coming back, that's huge news. That's a guy who just knows how to win. And wow, how much fun are we going to have with Billy Beers driving a mini rod as well? So each of those sort of aspects of the game are going to be really fun for us to have more talking points over the course of 2026. So, I think there are other questions that exist in there, like what does the wild man Jeff Hurt decide to do? He was incredible in 2025 and very, very tough. And then there's that veteran from Peyton, Iowa, who just seems to be always in the hunt too. So there's a lot of storylines with mini rod predictions of what you could do and what you could think. And, from the PPL side of the life, does Tanner Nelson defend that title and have a chance to be a guy who wins 2 before he's 18 years old? That's a pretty big story as well.
Now, Dan, when I look at this, welcome, Jeremy Krieger. Glad you made it on. It sounded like you were tuning in an FM station there for a second when you first came on, Jeremy. So, Dan, when you look at this high stakes series or whatever they're calling it, the Fent high stakes thing, I feel like there's going to be some certain names that are going to go chase that money if they get in. Again, Miles alluded to it. So many questions like, can you do it and stuff like that? But it'd be hard, So Jeff won PPL points in 24, right?
Back to back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
23 and 24.
He went top 5, or what did he end up doing in NTPA points this year? 3rd?
This year he ended up, I believe, 4th.
Fourth.
Yeah, behind Lindsay. Yeah, he was behind Lindsay in 4th spot.
So besides Farley, the 50,000, and Abby Leichner took that, I would think, because Jeff had a pretty good crack at those $10,000 wins in Louisville at the Mac. Was that the Mac Trailer Winter Nationals, Dan, that they ran the minis at?
Yep, Mac Trailer Winter Nationals, and then you got to look at too, like Miles just mentioned, with Adam Kester, he said point blank, if they, when this Fence series comes out, he's able to get in there, he's going. So that's going to leave that NTPA Grand National Championship wide open.
Yeah,
and then like you say, how many are going to follow that series, because there's no possible way to win a Grand National. Well, actually, you technically could if somebody else drove your tractor. So right. I don't know. This will be interesting because, like you say, until the Fent high stakes is filled up, that's about, then we're going to see who's going to run for that championship. And like you say, how many events are going to be on the PPL Champions Tour, after they run their 5 events? I mean, I would say probably 10 events would be on their Champions Tour schedule, I would have to say, give or take.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I know what Miles.
Yeah, based off history.
Yeah.
Based off of history. I mean, you think, if you look at where they've been and what they've had, I mean, last year, this 2025 points campaign, they had, Goshen, and they had a hook in Evansville, and they had Hillsboro, and they had 2 hooks in Nashville and Henry, Illinois. And you would think all of those would be retained. And I don't believe any of those are going to fall as part of the high stakes series. So when you look at those, that's 7 right off the bat. And There are other opportunities, I'm sure, for them to hook elsewhere. So it'll be a very interesting, very full summer for those folks, and no different than the NTPA. I mean, the NTPA's already picked up a couple of hooks where the minis are going to get to run a little bit additional time, maybe a trip south and then a trip to Evansville, and that's a pretty neat deal as well. So the dance cards for these guys are going to be quite full, and it's going to be interesting to see. One, you think about Hurt last year. Let's talk about the power of the team that he had and the power of the people around him, where they were pulling motors out of different tractors and swatching, doing everything they could to make things work just to get into that points race and stay in the heart of it, with Cody Singletary being involved and with the Campbells being involved, and pretty awesome just to have folks in your corner that are willing to try to help you drive to achieve a dream and a goal. So I don't really know how to tell you and fully explain where things are going to line up with this, but I can tell you that, I think the same sort of names that you saw this year are going to be in the battle. I don't think it was any fluke whatsoever that Lindsay found herself in that points race, and I think she'll be back in there again. And I think that makes a big difference. And I think with Adam, obviously, Bauer, he's traditionally been a guy who's always a threat. And then, if Mr. Vini continues to try again, I think he'll be in the mix as well.
I think hell would freeze over before we'd ever see Adam Bauer on a PPL Fed high stakes circuit, guys. So I think we're pretty safe to say that we're going to see him. It'd have to be some big ass money, I think, to get Bauer to go run PPL. But I've been wrong before.
I did see him win a PPL hook in Farley years ago.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. That would be very ironic. Jeremy, how are you, man?
I'm okay. How are you guys? Happy Thanksgiving +1.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for jumping on. Again, this is our 2026 Mini Rod prediction shows. The guys are going to do this for the next 4 weeks. Next week, we're going to do Pro Stocks. So it's all about Pro Stocks on Future Week next week. Then it's all about PRI. And you can please stop by booth 8127. The Dan Mayer will be there with the Foursome Unlimited. And we are having a VIP hospitality area for pullers as well, a.k.a. free beer for pullers if you swing by the full pull booth there down in PRI. And the hours are, what is it, Dan, 9 to 5 Thursday and Friday, and then 9 to 4 on Saturday?
Yeah, it's like an hour earlier on Saturday. So everybody kind of cuts out of there and gets everything.
And we're in that same spot that we were last year, fans. If you came by, we had Adam Bauer's tractor in there last year. And again, Foursome will be in here this year as well. So, Jeremy, when you look at mini rods next year, I know you listen to Jeremy talk, and we don't know where Kester's going to be, or we listen to Miles talk. We don't know where Kester's going to be. We don't know where Hurt's going to be. And then, Miles, you did touch on that Singletary, Kevin and Lindsay and Hurt team. They parked next to each other and they shared motors, obviously, to get Jeff into the Indy there at the end. There's a lot to talk about. Jeremy, what are you unpacking here as you look at 2026 in mini rods?
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. I think that, to the point that you guys have already made, it would be foolish of us to prognosticate until we really know who's going to go and who's going to show their dance card and we know who's going to go where. But I think that, yes, if Adam Kester goes to the high stakes series, then of course it's wide open and there's going to be 3, mini rods not on the NTPA tour. But I do think, my money as it been all season, Lindsay Campbell impressed me. I'll be honest with you. I am on her bandwagon. I am a fan. I love what she did. Top 3 finish. That tractor is just as consistent as it can be. And I feel like if they stay with that combination, she has the opportunity to be there again next year. But I think there are a few we haven't really talked about that maybe we should look at, like especially on the NTPA side, like Troy Arndt, for example. We're not talking about him. He was 6th and had a top 10 strong run with that machine. But then I think also you look at the Guzas, they're always a threat. If they decided to chase, they could be there. But then I think also traditionally over time, if you look at the Theobalds, if they have a year where they're not really cracking the top 5 or 10, they usually go back into the lab, turn into mad scientists, figure out what the problems are, and then the next season they come back out on rails. And I think maybe you see a couple of those wicked tractors up there as well. But again, it's going to be, it's all going to depend on who goes where.
In 24, Grant had the lead heading into Chapel Hill, if I remember right.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then Brian came out with the lead after that. So Grant was dominant.
Absolutely. And they just sort of had had a year where they had some bad, had a bad run of luck, but I feel like they are forces to be reckoned with. And I look for them to be better, next year. But again, to your all's point, Bauer, Vinny. It all just kind of depends on who goes where. But, I've said it all year. I'm going to stay the course. Give me Lindsey Campbell in 2026.
Boom. Mark it down. Is that Jeremy? Is that your final answer?
He has spoken.
Cold lock. Yes. Final answer.
Miles, when you look at the multiple tractor teams, and there are quite a few in the mini rod class, and Adam jokes about it on there. Part of me says, okay, if I get accepted into this high stakes thing, and I got to pay $11,000 per tractor, I got to spend $33,000. But again, when you do the math, if you have 3 mini rods, you have $33,000. Let's be honest, right? So now I got to go chase this money, and I have a chance to win. I don't know. I mean, the sky's the limit on this stuff, but it also, I think that's one of the biggest advantage. Are there other classes, guys, that have that many multiple tractors in the class? Can you think of then the mini rods? Or because you got Theobald's 3, you got Kester's 3, you got Hertz 2, but then you factor in Lindsay and Kevin, and they had 3 last year, guys. Guzas have a bunch now too, and one of them stays up in Wisconsin. But that's all teching and learning and testing and tuning. What advantage do you guys think that has? Like Dan or Miles, which one do you want to run with that?
Personally, that's huge. I mean, you saw that start off with the 2-wheel drive class where everybody started, with a couple trucks, and you got the Nelsons with a whole garage full of trucks, and I think, like you say, more the more running down the track, the better you are. And you've seen that in all different classes, but really, I don't think there's any other class other than the mini rods that have so many teams out there anymore.
Flaws. I forgot Tyler and Bruce too. I'm sitting here just thinking, my brain just.
Well, go ahead. Here's what I want to throw at you too, and I'm just playing the game because I love to like create thoughts.
That's what this is about.
There's a family that we have not mentioned that loves to run for big money.
Oh.
Has significant investment in this game that you could not imagine, and just so happens to have 3 minis and 3 pro stocks, and they live in North Carolina. And I can't help but wonder, does high stakes make the Sheltons come run 5 times at the IHRA tracks and see what happens and possibly put their names in the hat? Like, I haven't talked to Grayson, I haven't talked to Reese, but I can just tell you, they're the types of people that I know that like to go run for big prizes. And that makes a lot of sense to me. So can we expect, Sawed Off and Cutting Up and Splinter to be in this group? And is that a possibility? And has that discussion already happened? Have they started to possibly work to get in there? I don't know if their schedules conflict with the pro mods side of things. There's a lot of investment from the family there as well. But, there's another hard charging group that know that they want to come and be competitive, not just in one class, but in multiple classes, that I can't wait to possibly see if they even throw their name in the hat for that as well.
Miles, as soon as you said that, Simon's name jumped at me. We've seen them piss around with mini rods in the past. And then Leichner. I mean, you talk about, is this where, if there's 5 hooks, 2 hooks at each, this where we're bringing 2 motors and we're setting it on kill? For that kind of money, it's
absolutely
already a ton of money, but I could see people doing that. Couldn't you guys?
Oh, for sure. And, Big Money Abby, she's done it. She knows how to get it done. And going back to Miles' point, when the whole Farley deal came about last year for the 50 to win, they were like one of the first teams to sign up. So I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, if they have a conflict with the drag races, Grayson's going to take all of them and go run them himself.
But you think about the fact that they can go on one weekend and win 20 grand. Folks, we've never had that opportunity in Poland.
No.
That's never right. That's, don't get me wrong. You could go to Farley and win 50,000, but they have now 5 opportunities to go and win $20,000, and then have a points fund at the end of it. And for folks like the Sheltons, who probably don't want to tow all the way to Goshen and all the way to Evansville for a single hook here and there from North Carolina, like they did a decade ago, it makes sense. So like I said, I don't know. I have not had any confirmation. I am not the person starting rumors. I'm simply saying, for me, that's a family that I think fits the model of this idea. And holy cow, they come with intensity and they come with personality, and I love that. So, if you're looking at it from the broad perspective and you get to have some different people that come and they're going to bring a little bit with them, I think that trailer or trailers equals pretty awesome opportunities there.
Yeah, and that's where I've talked to RJ in the past, a couple years ago. because he kind of liked our Pullers Championship idea, but he wanted to expound upon it. And obviously he did with Farley last year. Still the coolest truck and tractor pull I've ever been to in my entire life. From the money, from the buzz, just it was amazing. And why anybody would not want to do that next year is beyond me. But RJ is he's like the Elon Musk of tractor pulling in my mind. So a little bit crazy, but he can still swing it. So, you know, I think obviously the high fent thing had a lot to do with that. But for the big money like that, but his dream was for people that don't want to go 15, 20 times a year. Like you said, Miles, load up for 5 and you load up all the wagons and all the bullets and you come for the weekend, and that's fun. That's fun. Now let's flip it. Jeremy, and you're Mr. Thinker. If you're an NTPA promoter and you looked at that list and you saw that maybe like Rockwell, Iowa, for example, right? That's the one that jumps out at me, the North Iowa Nationals, huge pull in the state of Iowa. That one of those high fent deals is on top of that. As a promoter, where's your brain with mini rods at this point right now?
Well, I think I'm assuming they're going to go. Like, that's just my thought. I'm going to try to make it up in another class or cover my losses if I can. But again, I think it until we know who the pre-committers are, I'm not going to panic. But it's in the back of my mind that, hey, this is we're potentially going to lose big numbers here.
Right.
There's two layers to that, Jason. There's 2 layers to it, though. I want to make sure we understand that. I've said this all along. There's plenty of pie for everybody to get to go enjoy a bite of it.
Sure.
And so because of that, if we're going to limit the fields at one place, the rest of the field's going to go to the other place.
Right.
And it'll be how it is. So, the folks are going to know when you go to the high stakes series, you're going to know what you're going to see. The folks in Rockwell keep that mini class, and they're still going to have 20 or 25 vehicles because they're out there and everybody's building one. I mean, it's the fastest growing class, and it's been around for 4 decades.
And that's another thing I think we should probably discuss. Who goes back now and builds one with this, in mind? Like, who's going to go out and say, okay, now we have the opportunity. I look for somebody that already has, another vehicle in another class now. Maybe they add something to their arsenal so that they can gamble on more than one opportunity to hit the big bucks.
Yeah. And Dan, I would say the mini rod class, besides two-wheelers, was one of the biggest classes that signed up for NTPA Grand National points last year, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Those were the 2 largest classes we saw with points running vehicles.
Yeah.
All season. So in Jeremy, going back, you might not have been on before, but we've got Brian McDonald coming back next year.
Okay.
Brand new tractor, and Billy Beers.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. There you go.
Well, so there's 2 more right there that will be on the Grand National side of things.
Sure.
And I know we're wandering off a little bit from maybe just mini rods, but it's good discussion with you 3. And I know you have This Week in Pulling podcast every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, which is real time in my mind. That's a little joke between Dan and I with time zones. But you can say there were, to Miles's point, there were too many entries in many of the NTPA Grand National classes last year, and we went 5 or 6 hours, right? When Lucas Oil pulled that money out and just slapped John and Christie 3 years ago, and they went from here to here in minutes, right?
Right.
We saw PPL had a ton of momentum and a ton of – because pullers have proven they're going to chase money in the past, right? And Miles does not want to be on the podcast anymore, Dan, but that's okay. So he's getting a phone call, I bet. But my point is, with that, now, to Miles's point, now we're going to split it up again, and I don't think anybody's going to be down on numbers at all. I think there's a class we're going to talk about in later December where we could see a bigger jump. But again, until we know the real, like how many numbers are going to be gone and stuff like that, it'll be thing. But Dan, I want to come to you now. Who else chases the big money? Miles said the Sheltons. Who else jumps out at you? And Jeremy, who jumps out at you that you could see them loading up for Bear to go do something like this?
We talked about it earlier, but Jeff Hurt. I would potentially. I would be surprised if Jeff didn't. I mean, that would be just my opinion. But Jeff's usually a guy. Bruce Law, Tyler and Bruce obviously are gonna go that way. Bruce has won the big money down, Miles and I saw that down in Louisville, for the truck show, and Bruce has got one of those big $10,000 checks. So, and I would also have to say put Abby Leichner in that mix too. I mean, Abby's big money. I mean, she's won all the, you name it, she's won it. So she knows how to get it done. I would see both of those tractors, both the Bohr tractor and their own tractor, signed up for that 50,000. So yeah, I would say between those 3.
I would agree.
And I think you got to look at the Stevenses in Kansas. You'll see what they're going to do in terms of do they make that trip, and then I'm also interested to see what Richard Peters does. Does the Buckeye special go? I think he would have to.
I hope it's not true, but Richard told me last year that might be it for him last year. He was thinking of retiring, but I hope it's not true. But yeah, he was talking about it, and he says, my health, Dan, hasn't been the best, but hopefully everything's gone. He's had a good winter here, and he decides to come on back because we need to see that Buckeye special out there.
Well, and I think you got to think. I'm sure will Hallie Carrender go as well? Like she had a pretty solid summer, got her win. Last
didn't she, Jeremy? I think she got one.
So I think maybe she's on my radar in terms of do they do that? But again, I just feel like it's too premature until we look at the pre-commit lists and we know exactly who's going where before we can start prognosticating.
If you've been following Full Pull Social this week, again, it's Mini Rod Feature Week, and we've been posting a lot of questions. If you had to pick one mini rod puller, who would you pick? And if you could drive one tractor and you didn't have to pay for it if you broke it. But we posted a question on Friday that said, if you had to pick one person to win one pull one night, and I'm going to ask each one of you this, and I saw a lot of Jeff Hertz. I saw a lot of Larry Kesters. We can go back in the past. I saw a Keith Horst on there. I saw some different names on there. But Dan, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. You have $10,000 bet at fullpullpicks.com, right? And you need one person to pull out a win, a cat out of the hat, or a rabbit. Somebody commented, I would pick Ken Venny, but if I had to pull a rabbit out of my ass, I'd pick Adam Bauer. It was one of the comments on Facebook. And that's true, right? I mean, nobody ever counts out Adam Bauer. Isn't he one of the most successful mini rod pullers of all time?
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's the all-time winner, in mini rod competition. But I'm going to go back a little bit, and I'm going to go back in the archives here, and I'm going to say Glenn Gunther.
Yes.
I don't even know who that is, Dave.
Oh, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, the Tough Enough.
Yes, sir.
There was a guy, I mean, he was one of the guys that started building these mini chassis, precision chassis back in the day. I mean, I know things have changed over the years with the planetary rear ends, but he was always, there's a guy that could come out and you put on a big money pull. He was going to be there. So I got to go back on that one. I'd say Glenn Gunther.
Okay. Jeremy, who do you got? Who's your one? I'm all in on this guy or gal.
Okay, well, I'll give you one from now and one from then. So from now, I'm going to agree with you. Adam Bauer is stone cold. Like you've got to just assume he's going to be in the mix wherever he unloads. So that's who I would pick if the chips were down. But I think going back to Dan's era, I like Roger Weissong. Give me the Sting.
What? Krieger.
Yeah.
Krieger.
Yes.
Seriously? He was that good?
1993 points champion.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
Yep.
Wow.
Grand National Champ, 93.
What was it called?
The Sting.
The Sting again. The Sting again was Yep.
Miles, who's your one? And you Kriegers have more history than I do and Dan. So you want to do a now and a then, or do you just want to pick a now?
I've got 2 thens and a now.
Oh, I love this.
So
he has to outdo him, Dan. Has to outdo him.
Yeah.
I can get mine now.
Yeah. My now is Brian McDonald.
Fair.
And I think I've seen him make too many amazing passes to ever doubt him. That doesn't take anything away from Adam Kester. It doesn't take anything away from any of the guys who currently warrant that discussion. But you said one shot. Now, when we go back into the archives, I'm not going back as far probably as where Dan and Jeremy went, but 2 names come to my mind historically. 1, Lee Swift.
Yes.
2, Phil Fairbanks.
Yes.
Is that the rap poison?
Mr. Thundermaker, Coldwater.
Mr. Thundermake was Lee Swift and Phil Fairbanks. They always just seem to be in the mix and in a shot. You go back to Phil's roots back even farther with John and the history there. Like, holy cow, they were tough. And I would say those are 2 that I would absolutely. Lee Swift kind of came from nowhere to the front very quickly, and then he stayed in the front for a while.
And 4 Grand National Championships in a row. I mean, that's whew.
Yeah, I wish I'd picked that guy.
Yeah.
Give me him.
Yeah.
Give me him. All right. We're going to wrap up 2026 mini rod predictions with one more. And I asked this on social the other day. and this is for each of you. If you guys could drive one mini rod today or past, I don't care. You didn't have to break it, but you were going to drive it to go out and win a pull. Whose tractor are you driving? Jeremy, you go first.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to break. You don't have to pay for it, Jeremy. This is a lotto ticket. I get to drive X, and I get to whose are you driving, and where are you taking it, Jeremy? And I want to know why.
Okay, give me the Dowlings at Bowling Green, Ohio. Milk Fever. Because it's a C cab.
Is that the thing that Dan posted the other day? That orange thing?
Yes. Give me that one. Give me that one. Give me that one. Final answer.
And why?
Because it's a C cab.
Yeah.
So Jeremy wants to be different. Dan, whose are you driving, and where are you taking it, and why?
I'm going with Jeremy. I'm going unique. I'm going with the Fiat Topolino.
What?
I'm going Dusty Price.
Give you the baby bits. Yes, sir.
I mean, I want to look cool.
I want to look
Where?
cool.
But where?
Oh, but where are we going to go? We got to go. I'm going to run it in Louisville. Even though they don't run them, I'm going to run it down here in Louisville.
That's fair.
Last year they ran at the farm show. Last year they had mini rods. Dan was when?
94.
94.
Yeah. Rick Peters.
Nice.
And if you
All right,
go back
Miles.
in the
We'll go ahead, Dan.
yesterday, you would have saw that clip there of Richard winning. So, Miles, your turn.
Yep, Miles. Who, what, and where, and why?
Yep. Give me Larry Kester. I'll take Footloose.
The blue one or the Pennzoil one?
I'm going to go back to the old roots, the blue tractor with the pink text on the side of it.
Kenny Kent. Yes, sir.
And I don't know, for all intensive purposes, I'll say let's go to Chapel Hill. That was a special place for Larry, and obviously it's a great track and a place to go and run. So I'll do that. But
It's also
I'd have
where
to
he
have a
went to
Footloose
heaven.
tractor.
So, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Same question to you,
Yep.
Mr. Schultz. I'm interested to know your take on this.
So I'm a Midwest guy, and I'm not a historian like you guys. I really got involved in polling in the late 90s with my dad, East Central Iowa. If I could drive any mini.
See, I think we caught him.
See, this isn't my job to talk to. I'm supposed to interview you three on this. I don't even know. Things have given me goosebumps, and mini rods is when Adam Kester won a couple years ago at Chapel Hill on the last hook, and he pumped his fist. And Larry was in there with him. I believe in God. I don't always act like it,
Sure.
but Larry was there that day.
Yep.
Whose would I drive? I'd want to drive something that. Who's the guy that always has the wild rides? The blue one, Dan, runs Grand National. I'd want to drive it and try to calm that thing down. Who is that?
The gentleman from Canada?
Yeah, the crazy feller, just wild, just gives her. What's that? Is it Hammer Time or something?
Yeah, the gentleman from Canada. Yes.
Yeah. I think I'd want to drive that one. I'd want to drive something that nobody had any expectations. Something like that. I
was waiting for you to go with the turbocharged one there from up.
It's no joke.
Mike Evans. No,
Yeah,
a fellow
Mike Evans.
Wisconsinite there.
Your
Yeah,
Wisconsinite. Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, cool. Well, this is fun. Dan Mayer, Jeremy Krieger, Miles Krieger. Every Saturday, you're going to see their predictions through the year. Dan and I are maybe kicking around the idea, maybe extending this into January with some other classes as well. So let the boys know. Again, catch them this week in polling every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Next week will be Pro Stocks. So start thinking a little bit out of there. Oh, real quick. Rookie of the years. Do you guys have any up-and-comers that, we know Billy Beers is getting back in. We talked about Brian McDonald coming back, but are there any, I know, Jeremy, you touched on Logan Stevens. Somebody mentioned Hallie a little bit, but are there any sleepers out there real quick before we wrap this up that you guys, Miles, Dan, or Jeremy, anybody popping out at you?
No.
Peter Norton's got two pretty nice pieces that if he, steps in and drives them fully. I don't know what his plans are because he's now a drag racer too, and that's going to be an interesting deal.
He's
for
a
him
drag
this
racer
summer.
now too?
Yeah, Pro Mod, right?
Yeah, Pro Mod. Yeah.
But
But we did see though, to Miles' point, we did see, Peter last year a heck of a run there in Farley. The limited runs that he did have. I mean, he looked like he'd been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Well, Dan, Jeremy, Miles, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Catch us next week on Pro Stocks Predictions. Have a good day.
see you.
Looking forward to it, fellas.
Later.